Welcome one, and welcome all. I have long found myself entrenched within the indie gaming scene, especially that of the horror genre. But no matter how many scary PS1 games the video essayists repeatedly talk about, or how many streamers clean up lonely gas stations before hiding from some killer, there will always be tons of these strikingly creative indie games that just go unnoticed. So tonight, will you dive with me into the haunted depths of indie gaming? I'm sure most, if not all of you, are familiar with the genre of PS1 horror, centered around emulating the uncanny and nostalgic time period of the early PlayStation to enhance the atmosphere. This particular brand of horror has taken off in the gaming world. But that's not what we're looking at here. Instead, this next game is intent on emulating another kind of console from the same time period, that being the Nintendo 64.
Welcome to Kitty Card 64!
Kitty Kart 64, a 2023 Scrunklesoft interactive game for the LSD Jam, uses its nostalgic filter from a more kid-oriented gaming sphere of the 90s to, well, why don't I just show you? But first, the teasers, published by the devs themselves. Some kind of red, bloody monster chases after the racer. The way it moves like a player, like 64-era Mario, yet appears to be some kind of deformed thing with no clear top or bottom. It just shakes me in a way that I can't describe. In another teaser, the player finds themselves amongst these grotesque, pulsating masses. I'm sorry? Who's there? Who are you? Can anyone hear me? I'm sorry, I just didn't know. Why won't you leave me alone? It's all so loud. Make it stop. This scene is just hellish, and that's affirmed by the digital torture this soul finds themselves in. Well, I'm bought in. Starting our first race on a basic 8-shaped track, we can get a good idea of the aesthetic here. Very bright, very toy-like, and perfectly fit for the colorful characters such as Kitty. But when we cross the finish line and our number of rounds completed does not increase, it should be our first indicator that this cartridge is kind of glitched. There's cones everywhere, so we bypass those and explore out of bounds. The game does not protest this at all, so press on, till we go straight off the map. Instead of dying, or resetting back to the start, we end up in a whole new level. I don't really know if this is supposed to be chocolate, or what. But we're sinking, so we need to desperately search for some higher ground. We can go up on these pipes, and this resets the depth at which we're sunk into, so we can keep driving. I attempt to repeat this method, but is that a person? I need to get to them. If I can just get on that ramp over there, I could. but we fall. My method didn't really work in the end. And we end up on a desert-themed racetrack. The music in the background is playing backwards and forwards simultaneously. Various models glitch out as we ride on, to which we spot yet another character, a dog. Our desert's supposed to be hot. I can't feel anything at all, not even the wind. The map continues to glitch out, and the skybox vanishes entirely, leaving us in the dark. It's very reminiscent, of course, of Ben Drowned, the classic Nintendo 64 creepypasta from Zelda Majora's Mask. I wouldn't doubt heavy inspiration here. But amidst my talking, we find that our dog friend now lies on the ground, shaking. He says, "I can feel something now." And it's not long before we are falling into the void again. Dark bodies lay about the floor in stark contrast to the eye-searing colors of the environment. They scream as we try to find our way out, but falling blocks stop that from happening so quickly. Navigating this seizure-inducing toy maze, I tried to make out what the skybox is saying. I can only make out the letters T-E-S-T, test. I'm probably just reaching here. It's probably just some blank texture. I don't know. But after much searching, we've reached the edge of the map, which we should expect by now will be our way out. Congratulations. Or congratulations? Have we made it yet? Will we ever make it to the end here? These balloons pop in celebration of us, but this one looks a little darker. Oh my god. There's blood everywhere, and children are crying. Before we ourselves eventually pop. And now we're on a dark highway. Very realistic for the game's previous settings. And we're lost. We bypass traffic cones into forbidden areas and keep driving, even as the highway slowly descends into the sea. A blank white cat stands ahead, and what they say we cannot know. We can only drive deeper into the water until a ramp presents itself as the exit. And finally, here we are in an empty parking lot. Red arrows lead us to where we need to go. A parking garage. Arrows point down, down, down to the surface. The end, finally, in sight. Did we just get spiked? Come on, the end, it's right there. our teeth breaking, blood pouring out, until Kitty looks like a crime scene. Congratulations, we've reached the end.
Welcome to Kitty Card 64!
Kitty Card 64 draws on the nostalgia of the Nintendo 64 era, but also on classic creepypastas of haunted game cartridges. The exact meaning, if there even is one, I can't say for sure, but it's obvious that these game characters have become conscious, and don't seem to have any memory of who they are. Between the blood and cries of children, I and many others would assume that there's some classic child murder trope here, another staple in old internet horror, along with glitching games and backwards soundtracks. But who are these monsters then? This red thing, and this killer at the end. Are they the actual killers themselves, or manifestations of the dark emotions surrounding us all? Perhaps we'll find out in another game. But for now, Kitty Card 64 will remain here a nostalgic enigma, while we dive even further down into the depths of indie gaming. Artist Lumpy Touch has long been a well-respected figure on the web, famously known for his shorts depicting grotesque cosmic horrors such as Gorefield. If you're in the digital horror scene and you don't know him, I'd be quite surprised. His vibrant, hellish scenarios really scratch an itch, and hey, he really knows how to nail that Game Boy aesthetic. So just 3 years ago, when Lumpy collaborated with Enche, a unique, pixelated nightmare would arise from the depths. Portaboy Plus. Rather than having some direct timeline of a story, this game is focused on getting a high score through WarioWare-esque minigames, and the higher you get, the more lore will be unveiled to figure out what exactly is going on here. We open our Portaboy, and let me tell you, you'll never guess what this thing is trying to parody. On my first playthrough, I started with Bailout, a farm-themed take on Breakout, featuring a little jingle, and let me tell you, after a while, this gets maddening. Then I played Fish Fighter, a game about punching a shark with your fist. I repeated those until I got Cart Knight, where a racing knight avoids skeletons and fake-out slimes on a track. Then Pet Scope, where you look for dogs and cats to pet in a dark area. At 8, we get a shotgun, though on my first playthrough, I didn't really know where to shoot at. So we move on to Perfect Present, where you must select the correct ever-changing gift for a nerdy guy's date. Looking back at this gameplay, I don't know how I didn't get this first try, but I'd learn soon enough. And that's it. You replay these minigames, earn dollars, and rack up a score, until at 15, the scenery transforms. We find ourselves in a dark hallway, accompanied by the unsettling humbuzz of fluorescent lights above. The Portaboy is starting to glitch out, and these games are getting harder. How much longer will it be until something inevitably rushes out of that darkness, straight at us? Oh, I know exactly where this is going. Because all that I just described, that's the gameplay loop. But of course, it's gonna get harder and harder in difficulty as we go. Multitasking these games, which continue to glitch out further, and therefore get more confusing, while holding off tons of these porta boys and rationing dollars on ammo and hearts to keep ourselves alive. The UI gets progressively horrifying. It's really something. Occasionally, we'll find a new game in our rotation, but we're quickly redirected back to our normal rotation. Sometimes an anti-piracy screen will pop up, warning us that modified portaboys are illegal and carry heavy fines. But we have no time for the law. We have evil to fend off, and a growing chaos to endure. It wasn't long before I discovered the gallery. 5 sections, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, all corresponding to your current high score. In them, photos reveal a story. Glass vials containing some kind of substance. A man dying in a hospital bed. But then his cells begin to grow, and he is healthy again. This is the solution to the health crisis. Upon surpassing 20, vitals appear on the menu. Along with our next set of photos. Stocks were going down, and Portico was losing money fast. However, brain equals computer equals money. A model that would bring life to the Portaboy. And what this means exactly, we'll find out shortly. Because my clips aren't exactly in order. At this point in viewing the lore here, I've already surpassed a 30 and 40 high score. So, on 30, we learn that the Portaboy series spans several consoles, all clear parodies of I don't know. I have no clue what these are. Actually, there is no connection to real things. Nothing's being infringed upon. Nothing's being infringed upon. But anyways, we the player cannot afford a Portaboy. We're broke. So we set out to get our hands on a free machine. A very suspicious free machine with only 5 of 100 games available to us. Hence the anti-piracy screens. Hence our confinement to our rotation of minigames. And to play, we must connect our fingers to it. That's what this previous slide meant. In our playthrough of Portaboy Plus, the protagonist has been hooked up to this virtual hell via his fingers. And as 40 will tell us, we've been stuck here for God knows how long. The reason? We're playing these for real money. But it doesn't seem like we're going to do much with this money if we're trapped here fighting for our life in this dystopian nightmare. And after several runs attempting to get a high score 50, I finally unlock it. To get out, we need to gather 5 hidden treasures. Took me a while to figure out how, but after I did, it became just a task of finding and surviving. I have to say, this was super unfair. I went through a lot of attempts to get these, slowly losing my mind all the while. 1 treasure per minigame, all accessed through glitches that lead us into the game's code, and slowly disconnect our body from the Portaboy machine. Finally, after getting all 5, a glitch opens up, outside of the Portaboy this time. And when we click it, we are free. With the success of Flathead, developer Tim Oxen has officially fascinated me with his surreal and bleak style. And now he's dropped a demo of something which I believe will be truly great. That would be the Silk Bulb test. Being a demo, there's not much here, so this will be pretty straightforward. Immediately, we're sitting in front of a projector screen in a seemingly empty room. Behind us though, in the far distance, we can see others doing the very same thing. It seems though that we're in an enclosed space, so perhaps it's only a trick of my eyes. Then, our first question. You prefer the color red. True or false? No, I do not. I would never. False. B is false. Okay, fine. We're tasked with entering a calibration key, something we'll have to do quite often from here on out. Calibration complete. Now, onto the real test. This is the image of a door. These are pretty easy. False for the people, true for the doors. Then the slideshow cuts. A person is standing in a hallway, contorting their body around. The camera is positioned in a way that it may have been knocked down or dropped. A disembodied voice to our left tells us to wake up. If we look around, the film will cease, replaced by a message. Today was special. Was it now? Now it asks us if these are images of a clock, which they clearly aren't. Except of course, when it actually gets to the image of a clock. No trick questions for now, just answer it as it is. And then, it asks if these are images of a person. If you're like me, and you've played a lot of horror games, you're probably getting the feeling that these may be tricks. But to be safe, I'm gonna answer honestly, just as I think it is. We're given another film, which now appears to be in a room, either full of objects or overgrown with something. The slumped over man is unresponsive as the door slowly creaks open. But as the creature reveals itself, something comes up behind us. Immediately, the test must be recalibrated, and the room is moving. But we get it done, and receive our score. 16 out of 16, all correct. Now our new set of questions ask, this is an image of a friend. True or false? I don't know any of these people, so I answer bluntly, false. But then, this is an image of a stranger. Well, again, I have no clue who these people are, so I answer false. But as I do so, the figures present in the photos, their faces begin to warp and disfigure. Do not trust them. Wait, someone with a key card of sorts has been watching us. How long have they been standing there in the dark? And now the questions continue to get increasingly personal. Asking us if we eat alone. If we fear being alone. Is there safety in being alone? If time will wash us away, then don't look behind you. And if we really don't fear loneliness, then why are we here tonight? Our calibration complete. A new device appears on our desk. A joystick. With it, we can control a dot on the screen. A new form of calibration. Two figures appear. One seemingly behind us, as foreshadowed earlier, to our left. And the other, did it just move? The room begins to move again, and now we must calibrate by moving the dot onto a man's head. And congratulations, we've just shot him. On the next slide, we're told not to look down. This creature will get closer and closer as we look away. We must calibrate while keeping it at bay. Calibration failure. The game over screen reads as following. To quit an application, press Ctrl to gain composure. Press Insert to join a conversation and slowly realize that no one's listening when you speak. Press End to leave the conversation. No one will notice. And that's it. With the nightmarish creatures and surreal test aside, I noticed one major standout. A theme of loneliness. The feeling of total isolation in the test room, despite these shadowy things coming to accompany us. the feeling of being watched yet invisible at the same time, the questions about loneliness and fear of rejection, and finally, the game over screen. Maybe, just maybe, these things in the room are all metaphors of a kind for the horrifying, ever-encroaching emotions of anxiety and loneliness that come with isolation, coming to eat us all up when we realize that no one is our friend and all are strangers, and we fail to regain our composure. I mean, recalibrate. You know, earlier I made a few slight digs at PS1 horror, saying that every streamer plays them, then faking you guys out in the first segment. But the truth is, everyone plays them for a reason. It really is one of the most potent and effective genres for scary games. So I thought, why not throw one in? And this one is pretty well made, told as if we're watching a VHS tape. This one is a great campfire story of a game. Welcome home. A new letter. I wonder who it could be. Dear friend, let me start by saying how much I regret our falling out years ago. I've done a lot of soul searching, and I want to make up for my mistakes back then. For some time, I have lived with a lovely little community. They're a bunch of peace and love and harmony hippie Christians. I know it sounds weird, but they really get my life together. I would really love for you to meet everyone and for us to spend some time together like we used to. My community is having a festival in a couple of weeks. It would mean the world for me to see you there. Hope to see you soon. Astrid. So, we leave the cozy confines of our home and venture out into the wilderness. Not to say that this isn't just as cozy. Waiting for us at the gate is the leader of the community, Valgurus. He informs us that Astrid is not here right now, but in the meantime, he'll show us to our quarters. Talking to the townspeople and looking around, it's obvious just how much this game draws on the aesthetics of movies like Midsommar, or even real cases of hippie cults back in the 60s. We and Valgurus reach the front door of the main building. Inside, most doors are locked, except for one he stands by. Our sleeping quarters. He tells us to get rest, so we head inside. But why are the windows barred? And why does everything feel so quiet? Day 1. Right out the door, we're told by Hedda to put on some matching robes to fit in with the community. Our daily task here is to light all the incense throughout the house in preparation of their big festival coming up. I got a little sidetracked here, and I just had to appreciate this comfy, nostalgic view of the wilderness. It reminds me of my own state, lodging up in the mountains as a young kid. Enough reminiscing. I light all the incense, but not before discovering a strange picture. Wait a minute, that's me. And why am I marked with a red circle? Did Astrid do this? Outside, we're asked to collect flowers and lay them at the central statue. These flowers are abundant in the forest, so we head out to the trail to find them, but not before Valgris stops us. He insists that there are plenty of flowers inside the premises, so we're left to collect them there. But throughout, I can't shake the feeling that he has just something to hide. Once done, we're congratulated by Hjalmar and told that Astrid won't be back until tomorrow, but that she's looking forward to seeing us. So to bed it is. The house is darker now, foggy and cold. Empty. But who's watching us? Hjalmar? I'm just gonna go to bed. I feel like these people are watching me all the time. Well, yeah, that makes two of us then. This game is the complete opposite of Silk Bulb. Instead of feeling alone, you are constantly under the grip of community surveillance. But bedtime isn't coming any sooner, so... Day 2. Olga is just waiting outside for us again. This time, the old coot has left her dirty laundry everywhere around the house, and we have to come pick it up. So 5 robes it is. Along the way, we discover bunk beds that are empty. I mean, sure, no other houses are around, but I never actually stopped to realize that all of these people are just crowding here into this house, right next door to me. And if that's the case, well, begs the question, why is the visitor's room so special? And again, why are the windows barred? Between that and Valgris's heavy guarding of the forest, it really seems like they don't want us to leave. Along the way, we also read a local newspaper, speaking of a mentally unwell woman on the loose, and obtain a set of keys on the ground. Valgris's office.
Oh.
Suspecting foul things afoot, we make a plan to sneak in. Outside, our mission today is to gather firewood for the offering statue, and along the way... Aha! Elof was the one watching us last night, and because Valgris is mean to him, he decides he's gonna be a snitch, and tell us that Astrid is in fact being held prisoner in the forest, exactly where Valgris was guarding earlier. So now, we have to get the gate keys from his office. Not that we could just hop over the fence or anything, no. It's dark once again, and we dart straight for the door. I've told you to stay out of my room, haven't I? Go to your room and get some rest. Do not test my patience again. Well, now we'll really be in trouble if we don't pull this off. So instead of resting, we sneak out of our bedroom and go in once the leader leaves. We hide under the bed to avoid detection. Until he leaves again. In a personal letter to the police chief, Valgris reveals that he has worked with law enforcement to bring Astrid the supposedly mentally ill woman back to the camp, under the excuse that she was not in the right state of mind, and she's been in the shed ever since. A diary entry from her reveals that Valgris has become increasingly verbally abusive to her, prompting her attempts at escape. You see, it dawns on me here why we were invited to this place. Astrid wanted us to come rescue her. But the cult has been in the know, waiting for us all this time. Hence, the barred windows. We too are a prisoner here. When we awake again, it's dark out, so we take a lantern and head straight for the forest. The trail winds until it comes upon an old barn. Beneath is a tunnel, walls adorned with crosses and Nordic runes, and finally, a door. A woman kneels, chained up. Astrid. And to our left, a table with all kinds of torture weapons. Astrid begs for our forgiveness and urges us to hide. Valgris enters to check on her and look for us, mentioning the festival, a kind of ritual, was going to be ruined if she exposed the cult for what it is. And that is precisely why she's being punished here. When he leaves, we're sent off by our captive friend to steal the community van and get help from the authorities. Before leaving, I took a quick look at these torture devices and really got a sense of what Astrid had presumably gone through. A chair, a hanging platform, an old mattress, all to decorate her cell. Valgris is waiting around the corner. He tries to stop us. Nah, loser. I'm out of here. The festival has already begun, but I don't really care. By sneaking past the enthralled cultists into the house, we seek the van keys in the office and break a window to avoid their pursuit. They give chase. Oh, juke you out. Oh yeah. Start the bus and off we go. We're out of here. Having driven to the big city, we gather a police raid on the cult's compound and rescue Astrid. At the time of the ending, she's making a slow recovery. By playing on myriad of cult tropes, but infusing it with nostalgia, Stalker Studios makes a delightfully effective short story, perfect for any late-night gaming. Though Welcome Home certainly refers to Astrid and the protagonist ending up imprisoned here, this title could also very well refer to the home of the past. Sometimes, a good horror experience doesn't need to be long or lore heavy. Sometimes it can be short and sweet and portray just as much cryptid dread if they do it right. Well, Unit 5, I believe, does it right. To quote the blurb on its page, "You are just part of the system. You are nothing, built from the parts of the others. You are a machine, which is built as part of the future, made of the human's body parts, trying to control your body and find your way out." So let's hop right into it. Immediately, a synth soundtrack catches my ear's attention, and I can already feel the dread emanating from this menu screen. It's giving the same vibes as the works of Mike Klubnika, a developer whom we covered in the first episode. But enough comparisons. Let's see what Sirius Daniel has got for us here. We're presented with a short survey. Do you know what date it is? Do you feel safe inside your new body? Do you remember who you were? Do you have any cognitive dysfunctions? Do you see any real person within the past 5 days? Can you control all of your implanted parts? Do you smell? Do you feel the process of raw tension in the remains of your human body? Can you see the person in the left corner of your room? Could you potentially kill a real human? I'm still breathing. Cold metal pierces my organs. Fucking hell of pain. The remaining flesh rots too fast. But these parts are not even mine.
Oh my god, it works. Shit. If the committee finds out what kinds of machines I make here, they'll send me back to the hole. No, no, I'll not let this sink outside. No one will know. God, this smell. Seems like I would need to replace some parts sooner.
In case you didn't catch that, this human was telling us about how this facility is a secret, and if anyone finds out, he'll be sent back somewhere. We'll come to learn more about this man in a bit, but for now, we're finally moving around, half machine, half human, at a slow lumber. We explore, trying to open doors, but we can't. One in particular is cracked open, and inside we can see the room houses a familiar voice, and a figure on the table. Then, find me. Wait, was the yellow text guiding us earlier an actual voice? Perhaps, since we see through a lens, this text is actually supposed to be visible to the protagonist, a transmitted message of sorts. Down a dark hallway, behind the door, hangs the bodies of those figures seen earlier. These are other machines, just like us, being engineered for whatever futuristic purpose, and some of them still breathe, according to the guide. We venture further down a hallway, getting closer until we open the door, and here awaits our guide. And here you are, another soul imprisoned here. A slowly rotting piece of meat mixed with metal. Another part of the future. They call me God. For them I am a miracle. I give them power. I keep them alive. I contain their fear. A surgeon. He made this to you. A surgeon can finish your pain. Make him finish your pain. Find the surgeon. Make him pay. Our God, a machine hive mind containing all of our emotions, has ordered us to make the surgeon pay. Surgeon being the human that we saw earlier. The engineer, Frankensteining these machines together. Perhaps our bodies still need to be finished. Or maybe we want our suffering to end. But he's gone. We can't make him pay anymore. We can't finish our pain. No, we can only open the next door and proceed to Unit 6. Believing that this could have been a replay and get the full story type of game, I actually replayed this, but I only got the same thing. So I can only guess now that Unit 6 will be some kind of upcoming game. I believe, given everything, that this robot facility is a secret for a good reason. We're turning on the surgeon maybe, or turning on all humans under the orders of this god. We were told the purpose of this game was to find a way out. Well, did we? I guess, though we will never have our pain finished. The surgeon's purpose, unknown. Why he killed himself, unknown. And what we're gonna do when we leave, unknown. But I think I'm gonna wrap it up now. Tonight, we went over a few underrated horror games and their stories, and the symbolism within. I hope at least one of these may have caught your attention, and prompted you to go check them out. Hey, maybe it even inspired you to dive deeper on your own, for these were just a few entries out of a whole sea of games. Thank you for watching, and consider subscribing.